Once upon a time, in a quiet clearing at the edge of a vast and ancient forest, there lived a poor woodcutter with his two children, Hansel and Gretel. Times were hard. The forest was thick with wolves, and the crops had failed, and the woodcutter's new wife, the children's stepmother, was as cold as a bitter winter wind. One night, as the wind howled against the walls of their tiny cottage, Hansel and Gretel lay awake. Through a thin crack in the wooden walls, they heard voices from the next room. "We have no more food," the stepmother whispered sharply. "If we keep the children, we'll all starve. We must take them into the forest and leave them there." "No," the woodcutter protested. "They're my children. How could I?" "You'll do it," she hissed, "or we'll all die." Gretel stifled a sob, but Hansel crept outside into the moonlit night. Quietly, he filled his pockets with white pebbles, glinting like stars. He returned to bed, saying nothing, but when he squeezed Gretel's hand, she knew he had a plan. The next morning, their stepmother handed them a crust of bread each and led them deep into the forest. As they walked, Hansel dropped the pebbles behind them, one by one, until they were far from home. At last, their stepmother stopped and said, "Sit here, children. Your father and I must gather wood." And with that, she vanished into the trees. They waited and waited, but no one returned. When the moon rose, Hansel took Gretel's hand. "Follow me," he said. The pebbles shone like breadcrumbs of light. All throughout the night they walked, and by dawn, they reached the doorstep of their little cottage. Their father wept with joy, but their stepmother frowned and bit her lip. Days passed. The hunger worsened. Again, they heard the cruel whisper, "We must take them deeper this time." Hansel again tried to sneak out for pebbles, but the stepmother had locked the door. This time, he crumbled his bread into tiny pieces as they walked, barely enough to eat, but just enough to leave a trail. But in the heart of the forest, the birds were hungrier than ever. They pecked away every crumb. The children waited once more in the forest, but when night fell and no trail remained, they were truly lost. They wandered for hours, then days, the trees growing darker and taller around them. The forest seemed alive with strange whispers and shifting shadows. Just when hope began to fade, they stumbled upon a curious cottage tucked among the trees. It was made entirely of gingerbread and candy. The walls were honey brown, the windows spun sugar, and the roof was tiled with cookies and peppermint bark. Hungry and desperate, the children broke off pieces and began to eat. Suddenly, the door creaked open. Out stepped a woman, stooped and cloaked in gray. Her voice was sweet as syrup. "Oh, poor dears, lost in the woods and so thin. Come in, come in. There's warm milk, soft beds, and sweets aplenty." Hansel and Gretel hesitated, but the smell of cinnamon and roasted nuts pulled them in. For a while, life seemed better. The witch fed them well, but something was wrong. She watched Hansel too closely, pinching his arm as if he were a suckling pig. And Gretel, she was made to clean, fetch water, stoke the oven. One morning, the witch's voice changed. It was no longer kind. "Time to fatten you up, boy," she cackled at Hansel. "Stick out your finger, boy." Hansel, clever still, offered her a chicken bone instead. Still too thin," she grumbled each day, but her patience wore thin. Then, one night, she whispered to Gretel, "Tomorrow we feast. Heat the oven." Gretel obeyed, but her heart pounded. The next day, the witch opened the oven door and peered in. "Is it hot enough, girl?" "I don't know how," Gretel said innocently. Can you show me? The witch grumbled and leaned forward, and then Gretel pushed. With a scream and a burst of flame, the witch tumbled in. Gretel slammed the iron door shut. The witch was gone. Trembling, but free, Gretel rushed to Hansel's cage and unlocked it. The siblings embraced, crying tears of relief. Before they left, they searched the cottage. In a dusty chest, they found gold coins and jewels, glinting brighter than the moonlight. With full pockets and lighter hearts, they made their way through the forest. The birds no longer circled hungrily above, but sang songs to guide them. At long last, they emerged from the trees and saw their cottage. Their stepmother was gone, having vanished into the woods long ago. Their father, thin and worn, wept when he saw them, vowing never to let them go again. Hansel and Gretel showed him the treasure, and their days of hunger ended. The forest, once a place of fear, became a place of stories, and the children, now wise and brave, never forgot what they had faced together. And so they lived, not just happily ever after, but fiercely grateful ever after.